And Philip and Nancy had this whole bizarre setup in their backyard, and it was like a bunch of shacks and tarps and sheds. They put her in a really tiny shed, and the shed was soundproof, so she couldn't even scream for help.
Hey guys, it's me, Judy. This is a story of a couple who used, well, fake religion, drugs, sheds, secrets and lies to get what they wanted. And guess what? They got away with it for 18 years. I gotta give a little shout out on Facebook to my girl Kendall Ray, since this is where we're getting the first part of our story. So thank you, Kendall Ray. Oh, and hey, if you've been following me for a while and this reminds you of a case we've been working on recently in any way, please leave me a comment.
18 years old. This is Jaycee, beautiful little girl. She was 11 years old at the time of her kidnapping on June 10th, 1991 in South Lake Tahoe, California. She had a stepfather, Carl, a mother, Terry, and a little sister named Shauna. Jaycee was in 5th grade at the time. It was June 10th, 1991. And as she was halfway up the hill to her bus stop, a car pulled up next to her, but before she could say anything, she fell to the ground paralyzed. She had been tased by a man named Philip Garrido. And this man was not alone. He was actually with his wife, Nancy Garrido, and she actually found Jaycee and helped him kidnap her as a gift for him. And just like that, Jaycee was gone. The Garridos brought her all the way back to their house in Contra Costa County. And remember, Jaycee is 11 years old. First day, Philip handcuffed her, brought her in the shower with him, and raped her. And this was the start of a pattern of him doing this all the time. And
Of course he would. And already this is reminding me of another case that I'm working on, but let's continue.
Handcuffed her, brought her in the shower with him, and her. And this was the start of a pattern of him doing this all the time. And Philip and Nancy had this whole bizarre setup in their backyard, and it was like a bunch of shacks and tarps and sheds. They put her in a really tiny shed, and the shed was soundproof, so she couldn't even scream for help. Not only that, but Philip told her that if she did try to run, that he had attack dogs in the backyard that would kill her. And in the meantime, Terry Probin was doing everything she could to find her daughter. I mean, this woman did not give up. She even had friends quit their jobs to help her. So meanwhile, for Jaycee, about a month and a half after Philip first took her, he moved her to a different room, a much larger room. She was extremely scared and confused. Obviously, Philip, not a nice guy. He's also crazy. He believed in different kinds of angels and all types of weird religion. And he would do these like drug binges where he would take a bunch of drugs and he would dress her up in different outfits and do all these different weird scenarios, and then obviously would rape her. And then what was so weird is that after Philip would do this, he would cry and apologize. His wife would also apologize to her and say, "Oh, this is so sad. I can't believe he did this. I can't believe he took you," when she was the one helping him. In fact, they found footage of her filming Philip in a park. He would stand in a park, play guitar, and she would film and zoom in on kids in the background as like potential people to take.
Wow, you gotta be a special kind of person to use music for nefarious reasons, right?
They did give her a journal, which is interesting because now all of her days in there are recorded and documented. And then on April 3rd of 1994, so keep in mind she's been gone a couple years at this point, she was 13 years old. Philip and Nancy were having dinner with her and they told her that they think she is pregnant. Obviously they weren't going to take her to a doctor to get checked out or even let her give birth in any type of hospital. She was going to give birth right in that room. Jaycee actually was thrilled, even though half the DNA of this baby is her captor, her kidnapper. She still felt so happy to have someone who was related to her. That was her baby. She actually had another child a few years later, and she taught them in the backyard. She set up a little school and tried to teach them, even though she was only educated till 5th grade. But Nancy was jealous of her being the mother of the kids. And Philip said, from now on, the girls are going to grow up thinking that Nancy is their mom and you are their sister, and you're not allowed to tell them otherwise. So that's also very devastating to Jaycee. What's interesting about the Jaycee Lee Dugard case is she had several encounters with people who could have helped her. She was very mentally controlled by Philip. She was in this from such a young age that it was scary to even think about leaving. What's so frustrating about this story is the lack of help from the police. Philip was on probation. At one point while Jaycee was captive, he actually went back to jail. And 2 officers visited their home, came into their home, looked outside, but didn't check the backyard, didn't check the whole thing. It is so weird too, because eventually neighbors saw her, like multiple neighbors knew of her, didn't know exactly who she was, but figured she, you know, she's not trying to leave, so she must live there. She would even answer the door for people and talk to neighbors, but would never tell them who she was or ask to leave. Law enforcement had record of Philip Garrido kidnapping someone in 1979. The fact that they did not look into him or connect the two was baffling. In April of 1992, a man saw Jaycee in a gas station looking intently at a picture of herself on the wall, a missing child poster of her, and he called to report it to the police. And one time in 2006, a woman actually called the police and reported strange tents in the Garrido's backyard and children who seemed to be living in the backyard.
And the police never did anything.
This guy was a sex offender, a kidnapper, and on parole, and they didn't even check. And then finally, on August 24th of 2009, Jaycee and her 2 daughters, and Nancy and Philip, went to the UC Berkeley campus so that he could run around screaming about his religion on the campus. He believed he was hearing things, he was a chosen one by God. And 2 Berkeley police officers noticed him and noticed the girls that were standing with him. And of course, Jaycee wasn't acting like she was kidnapped. These 2 female police officers on the campus felt like something was weird.
And this is totally women's intuition.
They talked to Philip for a while, tried to convince him that they were interested in his religion. They asked for his name. Once they finally got his name, they looked it up and they found out that he was a sex offender. So all of them were brought into the police station. At first, Jaycee wasn't cooperating. She wouldn't tell them her real name. She just said, "My name's Alyssa." They could tell though that she wasn't related to them. And once they saw his record, they were like, "Oh my God, this girl's most likely been kidnapped." After a while, she said, "Okay, I'll tell you my real name, but I'm afraid to say it out loud. Can I have a piece of paper?" And she wrote down Jaycee Lee Dugard. And obviously the police freaked out. I mean, at this point, Jaycee had been in captivity for 18 years. Her daughters were 11 and 15. Once they figured out who she was, they asked her if she wanted to call her mom, and of course she said yes. I can't even imagine, it gives me chills even thinking about it, what her mom would have been feeling. They obviously arrested Philip and Nancy, and Jaycee was reunited with her mother. It's just such an incredible story. Jaycee is still a very strong individual. She's writing books, and she's raising 2 daughters now. She's getting therapy and doing really well. Jaycee was also rewarded $20 million by the state of California because of the parole officers who failed to find 3 captive women in this house. And as for Philip and Nancy, they will be in jail the rest of their lives. As for Jaycee, she is still doing amazing things, and you know, she's gonna be okay.
Boy, there are some sickos in this world. And although I couldn't find any interrogation videos of Philip, I did find one of Nancy. And it's amazing what some wives will do for their husbands. Trigger warning.
Well, you had a camera set up in the van, or for the direct purpose of getting leg shots for him. So this was kind of set up. I mean, this is what you're going to do, honey. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Here's how we're going to do it. Right? You indicated that numerous times kids were brought into the van.
Alrighty, that statement right there is enough to terrify any mother in this entire world. And wait, there's more.
And I thought you might have indicated that it happened both at your house and maybe at other locations. Is that true? Mm-hmm. This was obviously something Phil wanted you to do for him.
And more important here than what he was wanting her to do for him was what she was willing to do for him. This is shocking.
And what was your task in all of this? I mean, what were you supposed to get of these girls? As much leg shots as you could? Get them to do gymnastics?
Stuff like that, general stuff like that. So.
Man, mothers, we need to protect ourselves and our babies. Right? From Oregon to Arizona, from Maryland to Tennessee. Right? Just saying.
So you were supposed to sit down next to them, play nice, sound interested, and somehow coax them into moving around and so they could be videotaped. How many instances are we talking about you getting the kids in the van and actually doing a face-to-face taping as opposed to out in the park? I mean, are we talking less than 20?
Guys, he's asking her, how many have you had in the van that you've taken pictures or video of versus taken pictures of in the park? And she has to think about it, right? 20? Is it more than 20? Listen, it's kind of like when you ask your significant other how many partners they've had, right? Whatever number they give you, divide that by 2, right? Can you imagine how many other couples are running amok doing this same thing? Divide their numbers by 2. How many people are doing this, y'all?
More than 20.
It's got to be less than 20.
Somewhere between 10 and 20?
Maybe.
Maybe somewhere in that
Maybe.
thing?
Or maybe less. Maybe just 10.
Ooh, that bitch really just said just 10. I might just flip a table.
Maybe 10 instances?
Yeah.
Separate instances.
Maybe less. I don't know.
Ooh, girl, you better break out with those fingers and toes and get to counting. I want a number.
Please?
That's it. Can you go all the way down?
Yes.
Let me see. I bet you can go down really easy, huh?
Yeah, but that is easy.
Let me see you do it.
Can we call
I'll show you. No.
I don't know how to teach us. Maybe splits. Side.
Oh, you didn't show me your split, did you? Let me see it now.
Want me to see it? Show you?
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it now.
Oh, you did it. Good.
But
Oh, you just gotta work on it. That's why you're going to gym. That's why you're going to the gym, right?
this is on.
No.
That light is on.
Oh, I don't know anything about that camera. You know what I got?
What?
I'm gonna have to show you. I got a 35mm camera.
No way.
Yeah. It's not a movie camera, but it's one of those really nice ones that you can take pictures.
Oh, man.
Never ever tell your children there's no such thing as monsters.
This is the place where Jaycee was held prisoner for 18 years and where police say she was forced to raise the 2 children she had with the kidnapper. Hidden from view behind this fence is a secret maze with 2 sheds, 2 tents, a primitive outhouse, and a shower. One of the sheds was even soundproofed. Police even found the silver-colored car used in the kidnapping back in 1991.
The secret compound was so well concealed, law enforcement officers did not find it during searches of the property in 2006 and last July.
And of course, this guy Philip is a real piece of work. What do you think he had to say for himself?
Incredibly, he gave a jailhouse interview to a Sacramento TV station.
You're going to find the most powerful story coming from the victim. You're going to fall over backwards, and in the end, you're going to find the most powerful, heart-warming story.
Ugh, wait, did he just say what I think he said? Ugh, what a narcissist. Gross.
It's a disgusting thing that took place with me in the beginning, but I turned my life completely around.
Sure you have, Philip. We believe you, and thank God Jaycee's been found. We have a little girl who's still missing. Her name is Summer Moon Utah Wells. She went missing June 15th, 2021 from Rogersville, Tennessee. This little girl was 5 years old when she went missing, and her parents seem to think that this has happened to her. But they haven't really looked for her, passed out any flyers, or done much searching. But if you have seen Summer Moon Utah Wells, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. We love you, Summer. We're still looking. We're not giving up, baby girl.